Hello music lovers and welcome back to the Woodshed. This right here is a Y cable and it is the most important piece of gear in achieving the Eric Johnson lead tone. Roll it. Okay, some of you may know I own a 1969 Marshall Super Lead, previously owned by Eric Johnson. For all that I know, the amp is stock, other than the brand of tubes that EJ used his ear to put in for the preamp section of the amplifier. I've had this amp for a couple years, and there's videos on the internet about me getting it and using different setups. There's a video of me using a Zen driver, Dover drive kind of sound with the Echoplex and stuff like that, which is the more modern, what he used at Woodshed pedal board. And I was using this amp for all of it. When I was using this amp, I did not have a Y cable. I was simply going into the top left input. Now, if you go back in time to one of the greatest eras of EJ's career, which is that time period that encompasses Avia Musicom, G3, Venus Isle, and we'll call it the band leader coat, Austin City Limits. This arc of time is 9 years-ish. And throughout that, he was using this Y cable. And as far as I have seen, if I recall correctly, when I just opened for him and got to jam with him, he still had the Y cable going into his Marshalls that he had. So I keep pointing over here. Just know that there's a Marshall right out of scene over here. And this Y cable takes your input. So let's say the end of the guitar. Let me pull up this mess right here. Let's say the end of the guitar cable would typically go into one of the inputs on a Marshall. On a Marshall, you have 4 inputs. This would typically go into the top left input. Some people would jump the bottom left and the top right of the Marshall for another kind of sound. But in general, the top left input's the one that a lot of people use. And when you jump it, you bring in the bass control of the other side. That should sound the same as a Y cable, but it doesn't. It's drastically different, and I want you to hear it, and then we're going to talk about it. So let's hear the comparison of with the Y cable, without the Y cable. The signal chain for this experiment is my Sir Classic. This is a guitar affectionately referred to as the General because it is themed in color. It's not Fiesta Red. This is actually a Mopar take on the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard. I love that show as a kid growing up in Western North Carolina and East Tennessee. So I have an affinity for that color. And the pickups are the V60s. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a V60 LP, but Sir will have that on file. I think that's what it is. It goes out of that into a Chandler tube driver, which is a 4-knob BK Butler kind of thing. It's the one that you're going to expect. You obviously see a table full of tube drivers and tube driver clones to my left. That's for a video shooting out and comparing all of those things. That's coming. Today we're just talking about the Y cable. This is the most important factor in chasing down that elusive EJ tone. So without further ado, let's hear it. All right, so let's take a listen at the Marshall, first with the Y cable and then adding the tube driver. So here's just the Marshall with the Y cable. Now I'm going to bring in the tube driver. So the articulation is really where I notice it. This is without it. Play something kind of quick. I'm gonna add it in. Okay, so now let's take a listen with the Marshall not using the Y cable. Okay, so here's the Marshall direct in with just the top left input. Makes me laugh because it doesn't sound like EJ. Now I'm going to bring in the tube driver. Sounds like, aww. Sounds like something's not right with it. It's pretty drastic, isn't it? This is, again, just the Marshall into the top right input with the master volume all the way up. Here we come, tube driver. It's almost like the tube driver makes it worse when you're using it that way. Let's go back one more time to the Y cable. All right, here we are with the Y cable again. And you can tell it's like the low end's woolly and out of control and it's not right. But the EQ curve of the whole thing and the way the guitar feels is right. So turn on the tube driver and here it comes. That aw thing now sounds period correct, right? There you have it. Well, there you have it. It's kind of undeniable, and there's not too much left to talk about other than don't go to Guitar Center and get one that is stereo and then left and right. It's not doing the tip ring sleeve thing. That's a different kind of thing. It has to be mono to two monos, right? Like that's the secret to make it sound right. It's so important that when I purchased it, actually my guitar tech, John Cooper, when he purchased it, he got two of them. And we haven't done it with the SL68, but that's something that's going to be coming soon. You know, I called Dave Friedman and I talked to him and I've talked to John Suhr, and these are my most trusted gear guys that I know personally in my life. John Suhr and Dave Friedman, I know that they are very experienced. They have a pedigree. They know Marshalls. They know amplifiers. And Dave was telling me about how the impedance changes, you know, on the, like this is a 250K pot. And then, you know, it's combining that. But now once you introduce a pedal, it changes it. There's so much technical jargon that I don't understand. And I'm not going to pretend to understand. But I do know that when you do the single input thing, and when you do the Y cable, and when you jump it, those are three drastically different sounding tones. They sound incredibly different to my ear. And the EJ thing is the Y cable. That's the one you have to do to get it there. It's funny enough, like a lot of people have told me they don't like tube drivers, and after hearing it on the single input, I'm like, yeah, I don't like it either. But with the Y cable, you're like, this is clearly the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? It is just a fascinating rabbit hole to get to, and by no means do I, when I'm seeking out my tones, like the tones on Junktown and Charisma and the stuff that I built my career on, I don't do it this way. I do it my way, and I think that's important for everybody to understand and realize that it's somebody else's spec, and it applies to how they play the guitar. Now, I worshiped Eric, and I learned a lot of Eric songs and a lot of Eric licks, so I can do a pseudo-okay Eric Johnson impersonation. But at best, it's an impersonation. When I go to do my thing on this style amplifier, whether it be this old Marshall or this SL68, I go back and forth between jumping it and just using the top left input, depending on which song I'm recording. But in general, there's one common denominator between my way of doing it and EJ's way of doing it, and that is that no singular point of the equation is creating all of the gain. The gain is stacking, like the way EJ does it. The amps kind of medium gain-ish, low to medium gain, and then the tube driver is pushing it. When I do it, the amp is less gain, so it's even more clean, but I have the red side of the gearbox as a warm medium gain, and then I push it with the blue side of the gearbox. So that's how I get there, right? And it's gain stacking and gain staging, and it's something that I've learned from both Timmons and EJ, and they've been so kind to kind of show me the path, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. The thing that helps me do these kind of experiments and take the time out of my career to make these videos is the Patreon community that we have, which is the Woodshed Patreon community and the AndyWoodMusic.com store. Both of those sources are a great place to get more of what we do and support the channel. If you want to rep a sick hoodie or an awesome t-shirt or get some backing tracks or tone packs that I've made for the Axe Effects, go to AndyWoodMusic.com. It'll also get you what shows and gigs I've got coming up and where you can come see us play live. As far as hanging out and being a part of the Woodshed community is the Patreon, which weekly Zoom classes, we have master classes that I do on Zoom, and those happen every Wednesday, and I upload all kinds of content that's by request. So if you're a Patreon member, you can say, hey Andy, will you tell me about how you solo over major and minor chords? And then I'll make a video that only lives in that world. So that's on patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. I certainly hope you enjoyed this, and I expect sales of Y cables to go through the roof now. I'm kidding, but am I? Everyone, if you have an old Marshall that's a 4-input, I think it's worth buying a few of these and experimenting. And if you can't chase down a Butler tube driver, the next best thing that I have found is this Venus pedal. And we're going to talk about tube drivers in another video. But until then, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.